What is going on, everyone? Clicking this button to stop the view lock so that the camera does not spaz around because I'm not playing the game. I'm watching the game. When I'm back with some more Age mythology, the Titans action spawning in the bottom of the map in the red color playing as Odin. His name is GrandMonster. His opponent today in the blue color playing as Hades. His name is Kimo. Yes, this is the best of the best of the best tournament. Sir, with honors. If you get that reference, you are way too old to be playing video games. All right, the map is Oasis, and this is the first game that I've seen. I tried to start with the third game. You guys in stream can laugh at me, but we tried to do the third game first. But luckily, I looked at the chat, and the chat was like, you know what, boy, you stuffed it up again. Please don't upload them in the wrong order because you do that quite a bit and we like to watch them in the right order, you know? And we'll deal with that in the future. But game time. GrandMonster and Kimo. Kimo obviously coming off the back of that first place finish in Champions League Season 1. Next tournament for him to conquer being this crazy situation we're in right now for the best of the best tournament. Let's do it. We've also got GrandMonster over here. Also very, very fine player in his own right. One of those guys who loves to kill his zebra in the most inefficient of spots. One of the advantages of Odin is that you can kill each zebra one at a time. And unfortunately, GrandMonster has killed 3 zebras, and that's incredibly bad. But it is what it is. So Odin here for GrandMonster against Hades on Oasis. It's actually a really, really good map for the Odin player because normally there's not much hunt. And there's a lot of hurtables, which plays into what Norse wants to do quite a bit. You can be able to play really defensively in your base and hit crazy, strong, heroic timings. If we come over here and we check out Kimo's base right now, Oasis, all Oasises are like this. We've got gold mines at the front on each of these spots here. Gold mines, all difficult to secure. Generally speaking, it's really hard to get a second town center which secures a gold mine here, but we do have this town center, or settlement I should say, in the middle of the map with a nice sentinel placement here. You could very easily secure this gold mine. So this is actually looking like one of those few Oasis maps, which might be good for Kimo. Whether or not he wants to grab that one early or not is going to be the question. He does have really, really good giraffes. We're seeing a little bit of harassment here from that villager onto the Ulfsark here. And so does GrandMonster. In fact, GrandMonster's giraffe impeccably placed because they're right in the path of these villagers to go to. And honestly, has he seen it yet? He has seen it. So what he should have done, not that it's going to be a big deal at all because this zebra not that safe anyways, but he probably should have eaten one of these zebra and moved up to the giraffe straight after that and then come back to the zebra afterwards because you're going to get pushed off this by the Ajax Chiron early and then you're going to be able to push back and get it later. So we'll see if it matters or not for GrandMonster. It probably won't. He's dumping his resources. A little bit short on the food here, it looks like. He wanted to advance there, but he's not going to be able to. Kimo, on the other hand, also a late advance. Not standard, to be honest. Apparently, people are predicting whether I'll change the font. I like the font. What's wrong with the font? If you hate the font, you guys can tell me, but you're all wrong. You're all wrong. It's fantastic, okay? What do we got here? We got the Feathers of Fenrir relic, and we've also got the Wedget Eye. What are we doing? Athena here for Kimo. I'll be very surprised if I see Heimdall for GrandMonster. It's 100% going to be Freya for GrandMonster in this game. Throwing up his wooden wall segments. Really nice to put these to protect his wood villages here. Beautiful house placement to cut this down at this point. And, you know, such is life. He should move over and protect this tower as well, because this one, if there was an Ares Watch, which there's not, but if there was with a forward temple here coming in and bashing down this sentry tower would be very, very simple. And then he could stick his archers and Chiron in here and push off this gold mine very, very easily. Not what's happening though, so GrandMonster getting away with a little bit there. Not that it matters, but he is getting away. Alrighty then. We've got the Classical Age through for GrandMonster, throwing down the Longhouse. And a couple of longhouses. He should only one at this point. He is making the Herser at this point. And the Valkyrie moving forward. Herser hitting this this food situation. This is really, really nice for GrandMonster. Able to pick off the Catastropus there. Herser runs in with the help of the Valkyrie. All of this hunt is going to be lost now for Kimo. In fact, Kimo's turning around and fighting this, which normally we don't see. Normally we just see the villagers retreating back, but not happening. Chiron's coming out. Ajax is a little bit late to the party at this point. We definitely need to see these villagers taking some more damage. I feel like Kimo would lose a couple of these at this point. He gets one pick, really, really big. We do see that the Minotaur does manage to snipe that Ulfsuck at this point, and the first Longhouse is up, and GrandMonster not training any units at this point. Finally starting the raiding cavalry, retreating away now that the Chiron's out, but the Minotaur almost gets sniped and does get sniped there. We do see one Hades Shade coming in as Kimo sacrificed his Catastropus for this this Hades Shade, and now that the Ajax and the Chiron are out, that's going to force these Herzer away. Now the Valkyrie can start raiding. We do see the second town center coming up. Like I said, this town center does secure this gold mine, gives him a nice wood line as well. There's a nice amount of food there. Resources there. However, only 5 goats in Kimo's base, so that's actually really, really difficult for him. And we see a random forest fire here. You know how I feel about these forest fires. You get a max value, 50 wood out of that. Going to be losing your Valkyrie to the Chiron here. Doesn't even snipe the goat there. Probably should have just held on to it, because I tell you what, imagine if he held it for here and burned this, and then he could attack this gold mine a little bit easier later, or burn this and got a big raid a little bit later. But takes the 50 wood there for the forest fire. It is what it is. And that's basically going to force Kimo to have a little bit of idle time on military as well, maybe. But it is looking like Kimo's second town center and his hometown center actually has been delayed here, as the Giraffe have both been pushed off, and now that's it for Kimo. He's actually really far behind on the economy at this point, and GrandMonster can... I don't like the third longhouse. GrandMonster could have grabbed his second town center here instead, because of all the damage he did early. This early town center from Kimo does next to nothing, and at this point, Kimo's actually playing catch up, because he's had, I don't know, like 30 seconds to a minute of idle town center time. So he actually... it's going to take him an extra amount of time for him to get it back. We do see that GrandMonster is going for this town center. He's actually making throwing axemen here, which are probably not the best. But he's going to have to get them to build, and maybe Kimo goes Hippocon here at some point. But there's the Sentinel coming up. We do see Chiron coming forward. Going to spot this town center, and it's a 4 town center. You don't need to get this. This doesn't actually secure anything for GrandMonster. This gold mine's not close enough. There is some berries here that will be nice for GrandMonster to grab, but that's about it. So we'll see how that goes. House coming up now for GrandMonster. We didn't see the Wedged Eye grab, but Fetters of Fenrir was grabbed for some reason. That's an interesting pick up there, but it is what it is. You see the villagers fighting back over here. For some reason, the Sentinel's casting this in the base of Kimo here. And now the Raiders retreating back. Town center just about to come up for GrandMonster. It's going to be huge. He's still got a couple of goats left. He still has a lot of berry bushes here. But this is going to be a later heroic age than I'd like to see in this matchup. You just see the armory coming up. And maybe GrandMonster cuts military here. He does cut military. So he is trying to semi-fast heroic at this point. Or not even semi-fast heroic. It's almost... yeah, it is. I guess you can classify it semi-fast heroic. He's got, 20 population of military. He's got 2 town centers and quite a few military units here. He does need to find some value with them, but Kimo can't actually leave this base just yet. Otherwise, he will be losing, possibly be losing some Toxotes here. If we check out the resources, GrandMonster, incredible economy management right now for GrandMonster. Almost... I would go as far as saying this is exactly how you want to play this out right now for GrandMonster in terms of the economy. Perfectly able to hit the heroic age here. Building a gatherer here for some reason. Is he just short wood? Yeah, gold. He is short gold. So he just needs to get one more gold. Super unfortunate there. But he's going to be able to click advance now. He's going through Skadi, I assume. And he will be able to throw up some hill forts, start making Huskal. Got to be fairly careful not to overdo it on the Huskal, because once the Hades player starts going capacitist, the transition into raiding cavalry is really hard. So you kind of want to go raiding cavalry Huskal if you can against Greek and with Frost Giants. It's really, really strong, especially when it's a Hippocon Toxotes from the Greek player. So we'll see if that's what GrandMonster goes for, and we will see Kimo probably get a little bit antsy here. He's got an army, got to start using it. Kimo is very low on resources. He's thrown the farms up, so this is going to be interesting. He's going to be stuck in the classical age for quite some time here. Nice raid here for Kimo. He should be able to snipe some units with these Toxotes. As Hades, you get an extra 10% movement speed, which is enough for them to sort of move in and dart in and out and get some shots off against the low range throwing axemen, 9 range throwing axemen. So you can move in, snipe some, run back. When the raiders come in, you get some damage done. We do see a little bit of damage done here. Hill fort going up. That's going to protect this gold mine. Huge. Absolutely huge for GrandMonster, because that means that Kimo is not going to be able to do some sort of Aphrodite timing push on this. Nothing's going to happen. He's going to attempt to push onto this. This does have these raiding cavalries. We've got the Frost Giant coming in as well. Medium infantry coming for GrandMonster. We see the Frost Giant take a very small amount of damage there. Only 22 damage at this point. And a couple of units here getting left behind by Kimo. A little bit unfortunate there for him. GrandMonster doesn't need to fight this just yet. He's set himself up really, really nicely. He can just chill, let the hill fort do the work, and get more Frost Giants. Just wait this one out. Probably a tier Skadi with 4 or 5 portable rams right now for GrandMonster could be gigantic. But big problem for him right now is his food situation. So he sort of needs to start farming. He also needs to throw down a market, because what you can do, you're going to see GrandMonster have a lot of gold in the bank. So what you can do at this point in the early heroic age, if you do this strategy and you run out of food, you throw down the market and you start buying some food in order to keep building gatherers. Gatherers go over to wood, and then once you start getting the wood economy, you can start farming. Alternatively, you just cook the gold mine to all craziness and you buy your way to the Mythic age. Like I was saying, you could do that with the portable ram tier, portable ram Fimble Winter Frost Giant timing push on this with Frost. So you frost the army, you Fimble Winter, you take the town center down, you attempt to win the game that way. Other options here for basically the question is just, can Kimo get to the next age anytime soon? And that question remains to be seen. He's on 200 food. He's on 130 population. GrandMonster's got all the time in the world. 3rd town center coming up for Kimo now. So this timing push could be huge if that's what GrandMonster's doing. I don't see him with a market anywhere at this point. So obviously he's just chilling, and it looks like he may be going for a delayed 3rd town. Nope, there's the market. I love it. This is exactly right. Maybe a little bit late, or maybe he just didn't have the wood for it. Yeah, he didn't have the wood, but you can see he's cooked the gold, and he's going to be able to hit this timing push. It's going to be gigantic. We see some raids coming for the raiding cavalry. Perfectly done by GrandMonster here. Kimo's economy going to be a little bit big at this point, but armory going up, and I think that GrandMonster may be able to hit, yes, GrandMonster will be able to hit the Mythic Age before Kimo hits the Heroic Age, which is going to be perfect. Absolutely gigantic, as we see that tier is coming through. Copper Shields. He needs portable battering rams now. He may have not enough population for it. That's the only thing missing here. Maybe too many throwing axemen, not enough portable battering rams, and he would be able to push through this. He's probably going to find that he's not going to be able to break this down. Do we see Aphrodite just yet? Oh, Apollo is coming through. So what is this? 20% compared to 50%. So it'll be really close to the age ups, but I feel like GrandMonster still hits it first. Whether that matters or not remains to be seen, but we will see. Especially, like, what does GrandMonster do with these raiding cavalry? I love the idea of frosting the army and then hitting the gold mine. So you don't want to frost the gold mine villages Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Hits the town center, frosts the army, hits Mythic Age. Gonna cast here. This is absolutely huge. He does, unfortunately, hit a couple of these villages. Imagine a forest fire right now onto these villages as well, but not going for it because he used it at the start to deal 50 wood damage. It is what it is. Town center going down very, very slowly. Villages all falling here for GrandMonster. Restoration is being thrown down, but the town center doesn't get a big boost. There's Apollo. There's Tyr, both at exactly the same time here. Fimbulwinter hitting the main base of Kimo, has to hit that the town bell. Fenris Wolfbrood's coming in, going to be hitting these frozen units, still going to be alive when the frost is over. Town center just about to fall. This is a beautiful push here by GrandMonster. He's getting his third town center up in the back here as well with one Ulfsar. Probably a questionable decision. Probably doesn't need to do that. Could grab this town center instead. Needs to get his Huskarls in here to hit these units. We see the Fenris Wolves kinda, or Fimbulwinter Wolves I should say, kind of being idle here, but they are taking some damage. Villagers back to work. We see the Nemean, or not the Nemean, the Manticore gets taken down there. These units all getting cleaned up at this point as GrandMonster is completely trouncing Kimo's Hades here with this tier timing push. And this is why I think this town center might have been the wrong call. But not, maybe it doesn't matter, but grab the middle town center right now, get gold control, hit this location over here, hit this location over here. Going to be in a fantastic position. Checking out the technologies. No technologies getting researched now. Huge amount of resources in the bank for GrandMonster. You should be thinking about fortified town centers or this town center here. One of those two, totally fine. Keep getting upgrades. Needs to think about even getting copper shields and continuing here. Transition into some raiding cavalry now to preempt the Hapaspis that are coming out. I guess it doesn't matter that much. He does heavy throwing axemen against unupgraded units here. Now we've got the Huskarl raids coming in. Huskarls are such good raiding units because they're 5 speed. They've got a lot of damage, huge amount of HP, and basically they just slice through these villages like nothing. We see some throwing axemen coming over here. I love the longhouse on this position at this point. We see some throwing axemen, some Toxotes coming out now for Kimo as he's desperately trying to hold on as the army's kind of distracted up here for GrandMonster. He is trying to get this up. We see more Frost Giants coming out, but at this point, we do have Achilles out, so this is big. Achilles going to help out quite a bit, but these Huskarls just do so much damage if you don't micro the Hapaspis correctly. These Huskarl just completely shred the army even with them out, but it's looking like maybe GrandMonster's getting a little bit overzealous here going for this town center. Probably unnecessary. A lot of units not in the fight right now, but GrandMonster still almost full population to Kimo's 113. We do see him turning around, taking these fights, keeping the Frost Giants away from the heroes of Kimo at this point. Really smart play to go after these units. We do see a random ballaster here, a very questionable unit choice there. Portable Rams if he wants to kill these off, totally fine, but random ballaster is such a weak unit until the late game. But we do see that Kimo's sort of stabilizing here with the help of those Hades Shades. This town center not going to be going up for GrandMonster. We could see some watchtowers get thrown down here just to solidify the position. We have a random longhouse up here at this point. Should start building some Ulfsark here. Go after these villages, but GrandMonster not paying attention, still just trying to push through the middle. And Kimo's got his economy's okay. He's holding on, but he does have a way to go here to come back into this game. We do see that the stable's getting targeted down for some reason. Probably just to open the position up just a little bit here so that he can fight these units off a little bit. And we do see this is going fairly decently. Oh, nice marker from GrandMonster to pull Kimo's villagers away from this goal by more Ulfsar coming in. We do see there's the Skraeling coming in to help out. And these Frost Giants just doing so much work. There's 5 of them. There's 5 Frost Giants here against 3 heroes max. And I think there's only 1 Chiron out. And these Frost Giants have 69% pierce armor. So the Chiron does nothing essentially. Even with the crazy boost to damage against Mythics, it does next to nothing against the Frost Giants. So this push is just going to completely decimate Kimo, and it should result him in a win, especially like with the Pacifist tanking all those Toxotes as well. The throwing axe from the back, he doesn't have Hunter's Axe. Totally fine, definitely an upgrade you should consider doing. The whole Ulfsark have popped out of this longhouse now, and that's going to force these villagers back. Surprised to see this wall not finished here for GrandMonster, to be honest. He is a cheeky player sometimes. And now Kimo still just valiantly fighting. Maybe if we can get Perseus out, if he can get Mythic Age here. I don't see it. Nah, he's not even close. If he could get Hephaestus somehow, like, yes, if he had an extra 2,000 resources point, he could get Hephaestus, and maybe he will be able to come back into this game. But he's not even close, and I don't see it happening. But GrandMonster just needs to gold control here, and he basically has. There's a couple of villages on this location at this point. He's got the longhouses up the top. He's walling the top of this map up. Beautifully played by GrandMonster, and Kimo's just got to ask the question, like, what does he do? How does he get back into this? A fortress maybe here? Fortress would be able to secure this gold mine for a little bit. And GrandMonster should just keep getting technologies. Just keep getting tech. Get the heavy, get the champion infantry. Get the heavy raiders. Get Rhyme out of the temple for the frost giants. Just be that person. Hill forts coming up now. I like this hill fort if you can get it up. It's going to be a little bit obnoxious, but it looks like Kimo still can't really fight against this. Like, the frost giant's still so crazy good here. And once this hill fort's up, it sort of secures this, almost forces Kimo to have to go through Artemis, which is fine. But you do want to go Hephaestus if you can, just to make that economic damage that you've sustained here a little bit less of a problem. You get Forge of Olympus, and it kind of helps out a lot with how far behind on the economy is. But Achilles back out, Ajax back out, seeing the town center trying to get grabbed here. We see some raids on this. Not sure why you raid with the throwing axe, and just send a frost giant up here, or a Jarl or something, you know, with some Pacifists. Keep throwing axe with these units, but it's a good raid nonetheless. See more buildings coming up over here, more villages over here onto this gold mine. Kimo just grabbing everything everywhere at this point. We just see that Achilles moving in, just about to lose his life, but he's just dodging arrows at this point, or axes, I should say. Running around, and there he goes, loses his life. Now more frost giant coming out for GrandMonster, and like, these fights for GrandMonster, not only is he trading efficiently with his units, but he's also just getting all of this favor for more and more frost giants. It's absolutely insane to take these sorts of fights here against Norse, but Kimo just has no choice but to do so. And GrandMonster is just so ridiculously far ahead, showing why you can't just boom against Norse. The timing push too strong. We see that the town center is still getting delayed. Only 4 units on it though, so it's what, like 8 population, and he's up already 30 population, or even more at this point, right? 130 to 180, 50 population difference here. And now the push just becomes impossible to defend against. Impossible. Now this gold mine almost out as well. We do see the villagers over here, but GrandMonster throwing up a cheeky hill fort. That'll help out quite a bit to keep the pressure on. And Kimo has to be considering moving on to game number 2. As GrandMonster is just chopping up everything. All the villages falling. Kimo's still trying to build these villages, but it is what it is. He does have the heavier pacifist out somehow, but like very little. Ooh, that's an interesting upgrade. Getting Aegis Shield, and maybe he thought it was Sarissa. Aegis Shield against no Pierce units. Big question mark, to say the very least. But Frost Giant does fall there. GrandMonster has to retreat yet again. But while this is going on, GrandMonster's just hitting this gold mine. Another hill fort up. Huskar just killing everything. Underworld Passage for some reason, maybe to help the villagers move between the gold mines. I don't know. But all these villagers just getting chopped up. We do see a Chiron coming over here to help deal with the Frost Giant. But honestly, the Frost Giant almost kills the Chiron by himself with how much Pierce Armor he has. Then we've got the cavalry in the front here just to defend against these Aspis. Really smart play by GrandMonster, not sticking with one unit composition, just continuously reacting to what Kimo's building. And if you're the Greek player and you're trying to deal with these cavalry, you've got to stop making a Aspis. And Kimo does finally tap out in the 23rd minute of this game. GrandMonster going up 1-0 in this best of 3. A very, very surprising first match to say the very least, as everybody expects Kimo to have a fairly easy journey to the finals, given that he's such a high seed in this tournament. But GrandMonster showing that when you're in the best of the best tournament, you are the best of the best, and you gotta treat them seriously. And I feel like Kimo just did a little bit of the disrespect here, if I want to say so. Be so bold as to say so. But yes, if you enjoyed this game, please consider hitting the follow button on the Twitch. If you're on the YouTube, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next game.